Hello everybody, I'm Fabien and welcome back to Fab Motorbikes. Now today I'd like to give you 10 tips based on my opinion and experience on how to ride safely and happily with a pillion rider. Number one, gear. They need to be just as covered up, just as padded up, just as leathered up as the rider. I often see the pillion is less covered up and protected compared to most of the riders, and that kind of makes no sense to me. Please get them covered up as much as possible and protected because they're just as vulnerable as the rider is. Number two, understand the experience of the pillion. Have they ridden a bike themselves before? Have they ever been on the back of a bike before? So it just allows you to understand what they're going to expect, what they're not going to expect, and you can behave and ride accordingly. So number three is making adjustments to your motorcycle. This usually will include adding additional tyre pressure to the rear tyre and maybe stiffening up the preload on your rear shock. This overall is to account for the additional weight and to allow for the bike to handle as well as it could. Number four, if your bike has a backrest or a top box like mine, use it. It really gives the pillion a lot of confidence to have their back up against this. A lot of them are scared about falling off the back. With this, it's just not going to happen. As the bike accelerates, just lean back and they know they got something supporting them. And number five, you really need to adjust the way you ride. When you're by yourself, you can accelerate hard and brake hard and you're expecting it the whole time because it's yourself. But with a pillion rider, you really need to accelerate a little bit more smoothly and brake more smoothly. And in particular, top tip here is use a lot more rear brake. That will stop that helmet banging kind of thing that happens when you use a lot of front grabby brake. And that will just smooth out the ride for them. Plan ahead, allow for a lot more distance to accelerate and brake. And number six, understand there'll be aerodynamic differences. On most modern bikes like mine, the pillion seat sits a lot higher than the rider seat. You also as a rider naturally crane forward and get out of the wind, whereas the pillion rider tends to want to sit upright. So the wind is going to batter them and that sort of may affect the handling of the bike. Just be aware of this. There's not all that much you can do. You can get taller windscreens to try and get the wind to go over them, but they're going to be a lot higher. So just be aware, take it easy, and it's something you may have to compensate for. Number seven, and this is a top tip from me, I always been told when I was a pillion to lean with the rider. Now I'm a rider and I actually prefer them to lean with the bike. When the bike's going straight forwards, they can afford to wiggle around a little bit, get comfortable. But when you're leaning through corners, I want them to be part of the bike. That allows me to shift them with the bike. So a bit of independence, I believe, works. Trying to get them to lean with your body, hang with your body, is possible, it's very difficult. I want them to be like a sack of potatoes strapped to the back of the bike and being part of it. Then I can control them along with the bike. Number eight is communication. It's not like being in a car where it's nice and quiet, you can just chat away. So you may feel you want to buy a Bluetooth headset to talk to each other, or work out some sort of, hand signal communication system, because an unhappy, scared or uncomfortable pillion just makes for an unhappy ride. So really just try and communicate when you can, get a feel for what each of you are feeling and doing, and that will allow you to make adjustments to keep going smoothly. And number nine, take regular breaks. As a rider, it's so easy to get lost in the ride and keep going all day long. But pillion riders, they don't quite get that. They're sort of just along for the ride. And finally, number 10, just understand that their life is in your hands. This is serious business. I'm not trying to take the fun out of it, and you can go a little quick here and there, but just understand it's your responsibility to keep them safe, no one else's. So that's it for today's video. If you've enjoyed it, please give a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you've got a few things to add to this list or a few things that you don't think I was right on, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think on it. Many thanks and see you in the next video.